listening to episode 101 of the SBP podcast, Mobile Filmmaking. And I'm your host, Susie Botello. So last week's episode, we spoke with the first place winner of our inaugural International Mobile Film Festival Award, the very first film festival. And now I am going to introduce you to the winner, the first place award winner for this year's film festival in San Diego, and that is Arthur Mikheev with his film, War is Not a Game. Now, I can't believe this, but I mean, here we are. We're about to open submissions for the International Mobile Film Festival on June 19th. And that's for both competitions, by the way, the feature films and the short films. And it's really cool because a lot of you have been asking for a few months now, actually, even right before a film festival in April, when can I submit my film? So that's the date. Start planning. And if you want to know the deadlines, because of course, that's always important, just know that they usually are at the end of the year, between October, usually it's on October 19th for the feature films, and it's November 19th for the short films. Don't hold me to it, though, because things may change a little bit depending on how we work out the deadlines, like extended deadlines and things like that. Don't do that, though. It costs more to do the extended deadlines. So if you already know about it, don't wait until the last minute. That's probably one of the best things I could advise you on about film festivals. Don't wait. As soon as you find out when the cutoff date is, mark your calendars about a month before, just to give yourself some time, and don't wait till the last minute and then have to submit it through the extended deadline, because it does cost more. And then after that, we don't receive, we won't accept any more films because we have to process and do a lot of work on our end. And it's too close to the film festival dates and all that stuff. It's kind of boring stuff from the internal part of our film festival, but just know that's a hard deadline. Usually that's in December or something like that. Anyways, so here's the next part, the next little thing that I wanted to share with you. If you are in Clubhouse or you're interested in going into Clubhouse, join our club for Mobile Film Stories. Join that club and join us every Sunday. I try to do this every single Sunday at 1:00 p.m. That's our time zone here in San Diego, in California. So try to do that because I always really enjoy meeting people there. And also, I'm pretty open to bringing people up to speak and be a part of the conversation. So if you're interested, I will share a link with you. You can go to always see the notes and all the links and all the details for each podcast episode at the sbppodcast.studio. Go there and the episode number, just click on it and open it up and you'll get to see all the notes. The reason I'm saying this is because Apple Podcasts has changed a little bit. And so now a lot of the notes are missing from their app until they change it. So what we're asking people to do is just to go to our website. From the app, you'll have a link there, of course, for the website where you can look it up. So we've been saying, on previous podcasts, check the notes in the, where we'll be sharing the links in our podcast, in our show notes. But depending on the app that you're opening, sometimes they're not even clickable links, and sometimes they are, and sometimes they're just not even there. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that. And I can't wait for you to meet our guest. So let's go ahead and go there now. Let's go talk. Let's go to Russia and let's talk to Arthur Mikheev. Hey, here I am with Arthur Mikheev, the first place award winner of the International Mobile Film Festival with a film that's called War is Not a Game. So I'm gonna bring all of us to Moscow in Russia and talk to Mikheev. First of all, Arthur. Arthur, I want to congratulate you on behalf of the entire International Mobile Film Festival for winning the first place award.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. I really appreciate it.
Arthur, you made a really distinct film that has cinematic value. And by that, I mean not just the look in the visuals, but it's also, you did color grading, has great audio. It has, the lighting is great. It looks like the kind of a film that you'd see on a big screen in the cinema, in the theater. And it's a very short film, but it's heavy. It carries a very heavy message with it. So I wanted to ask you some questions about the film. And I think for our listeners, the first thing that we should do is describe a little bit about what the film is about.
Well, it's the simple idea behind it. It's about the war, and it's the message that I put inside of it. It has some political colors. We live in a world. I live in a country with a president who tried to be aggressive, and all we know that we beat the Nazis in World War II, and this is very great. And we was together. It was Soviet Union, it was the United States, it was UK, Australia, and other countries. But today, our government tried to, says that we was alone in this war and nobody helped us in this. Not good, and it became some kind of religion here. And I think why is the kid inside of this story and why it's about the war? Because parents, we have a parade every year, like May 9, a parade every year, and parents don't tell their kids that the war is something bad. It's not. It's nothing fun about it. It's nothing good about it. That's suffering. That's blood. That's dying on the both sides. That's terrifying. And they dress their kids like soldiers, for example, and pretend that this is a game, some kind of a game. When I was a kid, it was the same thing, but I don't realize that back then because I was a kid. And today, when I adult, I realized that, and I think that was this is my personal opinion. This is not good, and we have to tell our kids that war is not a game. This is nothing good about it. That's terrifying, and we have to make everything we could to just avoid that in the future. We have to work together and build relationships, not to be enemies. So that's the message.
Wow. Yeah, because war, apparently, from what you're saying, is celebrated.
Yes.
Like it's good,
yes,
right?
Yes. But this is a tragedy. It's not a fun celebration. It's not a Christmas. It's not a Halloween. It's a tragedy. So we have to tell their kids that this is a tragedy.
Yeah, I think my mom would agree with you on that. As for when you mentioned Halloween, she hates Halloween. Uh, she would lock all the doors in the house, turn off all the lights, and go upstairs into her room and pretend no one came knocking on the door.
Oh.
But I love it. I love Halloween because it's like a big horror film production. Everybody's dressed up. It's all fun and games. There's a lot of special effects, but for her and it's like celebrating gore and murder and horror. And I said, well, we're really we're really celebrating the movies that are scary and all these, and I said, well, actually I'm lying because it's not that either. Mm-hmm. There's so many aspects and perspectives to what Halloween is, including pagan and all those things. So and she's like, I don't want anything to do with it. So but yeah, the film itself struck a chord with the judges because I mean, there was every aspect of it was, I mean, like I said, it was produced very well. And I mean, right from the opening scene, it has the feel of what a big movie could be. And I want to ask you something. I don't think that you get from point A to point Z or anything like that without having done anything previously. So I'm sure you've done other films that you've shot with a phone too, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I know that you can't get that lucky.
Yes.
So share a little bit more about that, about the films that you've done before this one. And also, I mean, this isn't the only award that you've received for this film, mm-hmm. right?
Well, I have 10 years experience in filmmaking at all. Like, I'm started with the traditional cameras, like DSLR, cinema cameras, and I'm dealing with mobile filmmaking for about, I think, 4 last years, as far as I remember. And I at first I had some, short films made with the regular traditional cameras like DSLRs. And it was a Hollywood Screening Film Festival Award, as far as I remember. It was mobile film. I don't remember exactly what it is, what it was, but it was the Audience Award. It was in Moscow. There was a festival here in Moscow a couple of years ago. I meet one guy on this festival, and he was I think he was the first person in this country who tried to tell the people that you can do awesome stuff with your phone.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Maxim Mussel,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Oh, he's a good friend of ours.
Oh, really? I'm surprised.
Yes. Actually, this is not about Max, but he's been in our podcast and he shares that story.
Oh.
He made a film, Lisbon, mm-hmm. And he shot it with an iPhone. And he submitted it to our film festival here in San Diego in 2014. He won the award.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah. And he was. We stayed in touch, but he started teaching it, and he became, I wouldn't say infatuated with it, but he realized the empowerment of mobile filmmaking. And he submitted to more film festivals, since then as well. And yeah, we spoke a lot. We became friends. He's another pioneer to me because, he started something there, like what you're just saying, and he's very passionate about it. As a matter of fact, he selected me to be one of the judges in this last film festival this year that he had. Yeah. But yeah, this is about you. This isn't about Max. But yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh, world is too small. That's interesting,
isn't it? Yeah. So you won other film festivals. You met Max, and did he inspire you to make mobile films? Or
oh yeah. Well, actually, it was my girlfriend. She is find this festival that Max is created, and she just asked me, hey, you have to try this. And I was little skeptical about it, but I decided to try. Well, that's not that was fun. That was challenging. The mobile filmmaking for me is it's like a new challenge because I think I can film a lot of good things with a traditional camera, but it's like in a video game. You have to raise your difficult level to do something more interesting. And mobile filmmaking for me, it's something like this. So yeah,
like a challenge.
yeah, that's a challenge. And Max is inspired me a lot. We are closest friends right now, and we are making some classes here in universities about that. And he write a book too, as far as I remember. About
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did.
But it's small. It's really simple. It's for really beginners.
Yeah. So I have a connection with that too. I actually I read the book.
Oh, it's translated
in English. Yeah.
Oh.
The version that I had was translated, or I could never have read it. um, but yeah, and I think he wrote a quote from my review and added it to the preface or something in the book. It's and I like the cartoon on the book
yeah,
too,
the artwork is
on the cover
is great.
Yeah, but it's very much for the beginner. And sometimes that's what we really need to do with mobile filmmaking is just introduce people to it. Kind of like, when you have a little kid and you're teaching him to ride a bike, you really just have to push him a little bit and get him started. And the next thing you know, they're doing, what wheelies are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the next thing you know, they're doing wheelies across, with they're performing. They're doing, all kinds of things with their bikes. It's the same thing with skateboarding.
Yes. Yeah.
They grab a skateboard, and the next thing you know, they're doing all these tricks.
The analogy, there was a skateboarder named Aaron Cairo, and he said the good thing, like, I wanted to introduce skate to as much people as I can, to just make him just inspire them to do some great stuff. And do you know the Interstellar movie? I think you know it, of course.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
there is a lot of discussions here in Russia about, it's what these Americans are filming. This is not truth. This is not real science, and things like that. But this movie is inspired me to learn more about stars. I'm really interested in this because of that. And I believe a lot of people just, try to start to interested in stars more after they watch that. So that's cool. It's not a science, it's just a movie. It's just inspire us to do something more.
Movie magic.
Yes.
It's the yes, all sorts of movies have done that. You ever watch like Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Movies like that are the narrative to the story is so incredible. Like mainly like you can't believe it, that kind of incredible.
Yes.
And so the more that they are like that and you're seeing it and you're the power of that is that the director and the everybody who makes that film brings you all the way inside like a dream. Sometimes you can have a dream and it's not real. You almost have no control over it, but when you wake up sometimes it can stay in you. And I don't know about you, but I've had dreams that have inspired me as well.
Yeah.
In different ways.
I have the same situation.
Yeah. So with filmmaking, I was waiting for you to say kind of like what you did, because I know that I've met some filmmakers here in San Diego that have said, well, I can make movies with my traditional cameras. So I think if I made a mobile film, I won't have to learn too much. I already know how to how to make movies, and I'm sure that I'll make a movie and I'll win because, I'm already a professional filmmaker, right? As far as they think until they film it with a phone and then they go, wait, this isn't working. This isn't good. This is not, I don't like this, because there's such a difference in a way, it's very simple, but at the same time, you have to pay attention to different things you normally, have settings for in a traditional camera that you don't with this,
Yeah.
and even when you have to use the Filmmake Pro app, it's a different angle that it's touching on filmmaking from a different angle, and you just have to get your head around it before you master it, right?
I think, in a filmmaking process, I'm always trying to tell people I'm a teacher here, so I have my own classes and I do a lot of master classes about filmmaking at all. But last 3 years, it's all about mobile filmmaking because people are interested in this. When I met Max, he told me about this. People around us was really confused, like, oh, making movies with the phones, that sounds weird. How can we do this? And it's kind of the same thing today, but it's much more people just realize that, oh, it's possible. Yeah, it's cool because we are showing them the examples, like the short films that we made, some commercials. Right now, I made a commercial, and you can earn money with this. It's possible too. And I always try to say them that, and we have a lot of other courses, online classes that is, people teaching. You can find the same thing on Instagram, for example, like how to make visual effects, some kind of transitions and things like that. But nobody tells that the main thing, the major aspect of your film is the story, and you have to concentrate on this. That's the first. At first, and visual effects, visuals, like everything else, it's always gonna be following the story. The story is on a first place. That's my opinion.
It's the engine.
Yeah, that's the engine.
I think that, yes, the story drives it. And I tell people the same thing you're saying all the time, that once you have a good story, you become passionate about how to tell that story because you want people to feel the way you feel about that story.
Yeah. Yes.
So yes, you're correct. There's it's my main driver. I feel it's kind of like what you're saying. We have the mobile film school here in San Diego, right? And my thing was not in going to teach online tutorials because it was like, well, there's a bunch of people doing that. That's not a big deal. What I want people to do is to come and sit down and then start touching the phone, their own phone, and seeing, open up the settings and then put it over here and use this tripod, and here's an iRig, so you can get sound if you need from the phone. Here's this, but I concentrate, that's the hands-on, but I concentrate on the traditional filmmaking aspect with it, which is you got to have a story.
Yeah.
And you got to know when you're shooting from different angles what that means. If you're shooting, people from one angle, the 180-degree rule during a dialogue, all those things are things that they need to know. But a lot of people can get that from watching movies.
Yes.
Dissecting them.
Like Quentin Tarantino, for example. He said that he's the films that was his film school. His films, he just watched films. And that's it.
Yeah.
I want to say some words about quality. People who really here to try to, when I just want to prove that it's possible to make something good on a phone, there is some people who just say me that I'm wrong, that this is not possible. You can't get a quality picture from your phone. And they always say about quality, what it is. And they mean technical quality like resolution, colors, sharpness, bit rate, and things like that. But this is not important at all. We have technical quality on one hand, and on other hand, we have I'd say art quality like composition, atmosphere, story, and etc. Things like that. And this is really important. And you can, for example, um, if you show some, if you show the war is not a game for I don't know two person who don't know anything about filmmaking process, he just like, okay, that's some kind of movie. This looks like a movie. Of course, the picture is it's not that good as if I use the cinema camera, red, airy, for example, things like that. But we are creating stories for normal people, not for filmmaking. No, well, it
Right.
yeah, it's normal. It's some kind of it's not a correct
Yeah, no, the average person.
average person. Yeah, right, average person. And the average person is don't think about resolution, angles, like that's they don't know anything about it. They just
They don't even care about the
Yes.
credits. Like when you
Yes.
go to a movie, everybody gets out of the theater right away. And the only ones that stay behind are people who are filmmakers.
Yes, that's right, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I 100% agree with you on that. But I also think that it's important for the audience not to be distracted with low quality
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. But it's part of, again, once they're submerged into the story, you don't want to distract them to go out of it, because then, it's like throwing eggs into the story. It's like they're not going to get it. They're not going to be able to follow it right. But, films that were made way back in, 1932 or something, the quality of those films compared to the quality of the films today, if you compare them, the quality is there, but you're not looking at color, for one. You're not looking at depth of field. You're not looking at the audio. You're not looking at any of those things, but yet they are still great, wonderful films, right?
Yes. I always remember. Do you remember the movie they called The Blair Witch Project?
Oh my God, I just watched that over and over again.
It's so simple.
Because it's on Netflix again now. Yes. I love that film.
Yeah, it was made with a handycam or something like this. There was no budget. There was just 3 actors or 4 actors. It's amateur actors as far as I know, and it still looks like a movie. It's a suspense. It's a really interesting story. It's acting. It's all there. So it's still a movie.
It's the best. We studied it in our film classes in college. I was actually in college in school when the Blair Witch came out, but it was not known whether this was an actual movie at the time. It was, the marketing was, these guys, these filmmakers like us, right?
Yeah.
Were going out into the woods, to film a documentary. We did the same. I did a documentary in college, which was called Haunted San Diego. And it's funny because it was basically the same thing. And it could have, as far as we were concerned, it's like, wow, that could have happened to us. We went out into a little forest looking, it was called the Elfin Forest, and we were looking for some sort of apparition that was supposed to happen there. And we couldn't find it. At that time, that movie, we were talking about it afterwards, after everybody found out, oh, it's made up. Darn it. Wow, that was excellent. In some of the other classes that I had later, in my cinematography class, actually, my instructor said, that is going to go down in history as one of the most wonderful, most epic marketing schemes for a film ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's true. But yes, that film has an effect. And every time you watch that film, you know it. You know it's made up, but you feel it like you're there.
Yeah.
You feel the fear.
But it's not there is no monsters inside of it. It's just like fear. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when they were talking about Albert, wait, is his first name Hitchcock?
Hitchcock, yeah. Albert Hitchcock.
Yes. Yes. So the showers scene from that film.
Classic.
Yes. And they're saying, you never see the killer.
Yeah.
And there a lot of women did not take showers for a long time because they were scared of going in the shower alone from that movie.
I like
but
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that I remember another movie when there is no monsters until the end. It was a Cloverfield by who made this?
Yes.
You got it.
I don't remember the director, but I know. Yeah, I love these films. You and I probably have watched a lot of the same films.
Yeah, and you're just sitting and wondering, who is this? What is this? And this is interesting for the viewer. And
that one was the same thing. That one was done with some guy with a camcorder filming the whole thing. And it was a big film. It was it did very well.
Yeah.
See, I love it. So when people talk about they must have, I was one of those people, when I started my production company, it was like, well, I had a Canon camera. And I was like, I gotta get a new camera. And then, it was the HD cameras were out, but they were very expensive. And then you had to get these cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they were called P2 cards or something like that. But each one of those cards cost $1,000.
Oh my God.
Because, and that's instead of a tape, right? So you had the card, and that was so expensive. I was like, oh, they got to come down in price. All right, I'll get one. And then my filmmaker friend said, no, they're actually going to come out with a new one. And then those cards are going to hold more and they're going to be cheaper. And every year you have the same thing. So you're never getting the next big camera, but you always want that. And meanwhile, you've got all these projects that you want to do and you're waiting for that great camera to shoot them with, right? And that's a ridiculous thing. If you think about it, because you never get to shoot these things because you're waiting. There's always going to be a better camera that comes out.
Yeah.
But the movies need to come out. We need these stories out there.
I think we have to use that camera that already in our pockets, and we don't have to wait for something. It's the problems for a lot of people here. At first they scared of something new, and that's totally fine. We always scared of something new, and they just thinking, oh my God, I don't have enough money. I have to earn more money. I have to buy a better gear. I have to go to classes. I have to find something. I have to wait for something, and this is going on and on and on. You have to just do it. Just grab your camera, go to the woods, for example, and start doing things. Of course, at first it's got to be something not good, but hey, if you check the first projects of Tarantino and other great directors, it's the same thing there. They just study at something, and that's okay. They don't just born like a pro. They just learning and learning and learning step by step, and one day they became a pro directors. So you have to start.
They learn from their mistakes. Yes. is what happened. But you can't make mistakes if you don't start doing stuff.
Exactly. You have to start and make mistakes and learn. That's the whole process.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's shift gears a little bit here. and tell me, I mean, I know that you've been teaching this and so forth, but let's let our listeners know a little more about you, Arthur.
Oh,
Who is Arthur, and how did you become or want to become a filmmaker in the first place?
well, I always was an art person. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a musician. There was a couple bands, rock bands, and we tried to play something. And when I was, I want to be, well, I have a university degree, and it's not about filmmaking at all. But I think in the middle of my education, I realized that I want to be a photographer. I saw a DSLR camera at the first time. There was I never saw that before. Just there was a friend of mine who was in the same university, and he grabbed this camera to classes, and I saw this, and I just like, wow, I was so impressed of a picture quality. And from that point, I realized that I wanted to, and I want to be a photographer. But after a couple of months of trying, I realized that I love motion picture, not still picture. And I started to learn. I go on YouTube, and we have here in Russia, we have a RooTube, like Russian tube, RooTube. And it's it's bad. It's not good.
Why do you say that? I mean, is it a lot like YouTube, like the content, most of the content? I mean, YouTube is trying to become Netflix, right?
Yeah. Well,
But it's not.
It's not. But RooTube, it's not. It's bad interface. It's not a lot of good content. It's not good. But that was my starting point. And after that, I go to YouTube. I start to making vlogs about video games. And we have a television company here. It's called Vegaterka. I don't know how to translate it properly, but let's say Vegaterka. It's some kind of television company here, big company. And they mentioned me, and they asked me, maybe I wanted to work on this company as it was. Let me remember. It was about video editing, as far as I remember, and it was very fun job because I'm a boy, and every boy of my generation, they just like video games, and wow, I'm work in a video game company, and I get money for that. That's dream work. And I spent a year on this in this television company, and then I left and go to another company. Spent another year there, and then step by step, I became a filmmaker. And it was very let's say fluent. Is that a right word? It's not like this. It's just.
Right. Yeah. Fluent is good. Yeah. It means you began to know things, naturally almost.
Yeah.
But you learned it.
And let me translate one word. I want to be a psychologist. Yeah, psychologist. I want to be a psychologist. This is my university degree. I'm a psychologist.
You said it perfect.
Pronunciation is
psychologist.
Good. Yeah, psychologist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then suddenly I became a filmmaker, and my parents always tell me that you have to find a normal job. Normal job. What is normal job? I don't know. Do you have the same situation in the United States with parents and kids?
Yes.
Well,
yes, for the most part. Yeah. They want you, if you think anything artistic, for the most part, this happens in every country. Your parents they freak out, and they go, they're always going to be living at home. We're going to have to feed them. We're going to have to take care of them because they're not going to make money to live on their own. Yes.
I think, and this is my personal opinion, that you have to do what you like to do. If you want to, I don't know, be an artist, like make paintings or make music, or I don't know, do anything like just make a tricks on a skateboard, do it. If you're passionate about it, if you wanted to do it, if it makes you happy, that in one day you will can get money from that. So my parents were really, uh, confused about my choose about my choice, and they was very very skeptical about it. And they were just laughing, "Ha, YouTube, yeah, yeah, yeah. What kind of work is that?" But now, after a couple years, they realized that they were wrong, and they said that, "Yeah, you're a that's cool that you doing things like that." And I have a little sister and little brother. My sister is 15 years old and my brother is 11 years old, and they um remember their mistakes, and they tell them, if you want to be my brother want to be a musician, as I am, and my mom said that if you want to be a musician, be a musician. And thankfully they bought some gear for him, like a guitars, some, I don't know, monitors, things like that. My sister wanted to be a designer, and they just bought her an iPad for a for a training. And I so happy about my choice. I love psychology too, but if you ask me to describe myself in one word, it's gonna be art. Definitely, I love art a lot in any ways. Like, I love music, I love films, I like poetry, I like books, I like make paintings with a paint, different kind of paint. So I love all that. And of course, the filmmaking process is number one in this list.
Definitely. And the thing is, if you really enjoy what you are doing, each one of us is different. It's the same thing, people who are, let's say, the dentist,
Mm-hmm.
right? The dentist isn't born a dentist. The dentist, for some reason, is attracted to dentistry. And, hey, great for him that his parents are saying, oh, yes, that's a great choice, because they're seeing that that's an occupation that other people have that they succeeded at. And they say, well, then you can too. But that the artist has this other connotation, right? Where it's like, that's the art. Art is what you do when you're a little kid. It's not what you make money on. And that's a mistake, because if you like art, not everybody likes to do art once they grow up. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But if you do, and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to work hard at it because you like it, it's the same thing as a dentist. The dentist, most of the time, they like being a dentist. There's no problem
Yeah.
with that, you know? So, yeah. And there, I was also going to say, Arthur, there's a lot of psychology that comes in very handy in filmmaking.
Um. Yes, and I want to add that, just I don't understand people who posted the memes. Is that right pronunciation? Memes, like funny pictures.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, it's Monday. Oh yeah, it's Friday. Just finally. I love my work a lot, and I don't think about Mondays and Fridays. It's every year, every day. It's a holiday for me. It's my personal
Well,
Christmas.
yeah. This is my take on that. This is why I like Fridays, because normal businesses shut down, which means I can do more.
Yeah.
That's incredible, though. That talk a little more about. So you were growing up,
Yes.
right? And you're a musician,
Kind of.
and you like psychology, right? Well, you're also you got into photography, then you liked moving pictures, which the thing is that I'm seeing the connection between one thing leading you to something else. but it's not like you went from, oh, I was I was cutting trees, and then I became interested in psychology, right? There all these things that you're talking about growing up were connected. They all led you to this point right now where you're using all of those skills that you've gained through your life to make amazing films and winning film festivals.
Yeah, I try to tell stories that connected to me and stories that important to me. For example, the war is not a game. That's the thing that I always think about. Like, I think it's wrong, totally wrong. And this is really, you know, make me stressful person. And I want to. It's the simple idea, but I believe that it's like a, it's like in a movie with a DiCaprio about dreams. Um,
Oh yes,
I forgot a name.
Inception.
Inception. Yeah, right. So if you have to put the very simple idea, the simplest idea, and it's really important to make it simple to a lot of people to understand that. I and that idea that I put in my work, I think it's kind of simple. And to be honest, it's a remake. A couple years ago, I made this movie. It was War is Not a Game, but with a traditional camera, and there was my little brother inside of it. He was 7 years old or 6 years old or something like this, but it was made quality, a story quality, and a technical quality. It was poor. So I wanted to make some kind of remake on a cell phone, and my brother is too old for this role, and I need a kid, really kid, like 6 or 7 years old or something like this. And I found it, I have a friend of mine, and that's her son. he's a he's not a perfect actor, but he's a kid. Hey, he's just
But you just needed a kid,
yeah. I
right?
needed a kid.
That's very interesting. I mentioned before Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The little kid was probably close to that age. And that scene where he opens the door
Mm-hmm.
and there's all this light from outside coming in, and all you see is the silhouette of the little boy.
Mm-hmm.
That was a classic shot from the movie. They used it in all the posters, the lights from the UFOs coming in from the door. And I just thought about that with your film when the little boy goes to the window.
Yeah, there's so many kids in the movies, and
Yeah. Well, I was just seeing the connection between those two shots,
yeah,
and they're epic shots. And I think you used the same. I know I used it for the. Oh, by the way, listeners, you can watch the film on mobilefilmstories.com. Is one of the films from the film festival highlights in there. But what I wanted to say is that shot of the little boy in the window was the shot that I used to create the thumbnail for the video.
mm-hmm. Yeah. That
Because it's very classic. It's very attractive.
Thank you. That was my apartment, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. We was on a budget, and there is a problem with the location, so we decided to do it here because we have a very big window, and well, it's a kind of good location for the story that I created, so why not? And because of that was my apartment. It is my apartment. It was my apartment. We have unlimited time to shoot that short, and we spent 3 full days to make it. And it was really I'm very, I if it's a limited time, I want to be decided to be as more diligent. Is that correct? as more diligent as possible,
Mm.
to make things look good. And I make a lot of takes over and over again to make sure that I'm happy about it.
Meticulous.
Meticulous, maybe.
That's another way.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. That means like you were, I mean, whatever it takes,
Yes.
you have to patiently, work on it. It's like a craft,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, patiently working.
Yeah, that whole process. I mean, you had a lot of scenes that were. I mean, this is a short film, but it wasn't something that you. I mean, when you see it, you know that you didn't just say, "Oh, this is a short film. It only takes 10 minutes to film." That you had to take different shots. There's also, you do a great job with the lighting and the effects.
Thank you.
Of the lighting and the shadows for that, with the toys. And, it's really, really nice the way I mean, obviously you won. So there's a good reason for that. So I encourage everyone to watch the film.
That was only natural light in this short. As far as I remember, there is no studio light. So if you have a window and a sunlight, you can do something like this. It's simple.
So you just basically had to move the camera around to capture the shadows and everything properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Instead of moving, that's the other thing I always say when people say, to stage your shot, right? Where you move the lights around, or you can move yourself around.
Yeah, use the environment. That's the if you don't have money to buy a studio light or rent a studio light, you can use the free stuff like sun. It's free and it's powerful enough.
And the mobile phone cameras do pretty good at handling different lights. It's a little simpler than having to do all the settings. I mean, you can still work with exposure and things, but in a lot of ways, it does things without you having to mess around with the controls at all.
Yeah, but I prefer mess around with the controls. I love.
Of course.
I don't love. I love control everything when I doing something, and I always try to put this thoughts in my students. Like I always tell my students to use manual settings. Don't let camera do something that you want to do.
So, what is some advice that you would give our filmmakers? I mean, our filmmakers. Well, yeah, our listeners, to inspire them to do it, to pick up the camera in their pocket and make a short film, at least a short film, to get started.
Don't be afraid of anything. If you check my first works, that was horrible, really horrible. But I think it takes me to 6 months or a year to achieve some good result. I'm just working, and it was not actually a work. When you use a word like a work, it's something about suffering for a lot of people. But there was nothing about suffering. That was fun. I'm just making things that I like. It's like, I don't know, just eating an ice cream or go to the park or riding a bicycle, do something fun stuff. And that was the same thing. And then suddenly I realized that, well, I'm good at filmmaking and I achieved something. So my main advice is don't be afraid of anything. Just do what you like and you will achieve some great results. I guarantee.
Where can people find you?
I have my Instagram account, I have my website, and I have my YouTube account, but it's Russian. It's on Russian language. So if foreign native speakers, English speakers, it's got to be useless at all. But you can check my website for inspiration. There is some kind of mobile filmmaking works, mobile filmmaking works, and you can check my Instagram. I believe that you give to the listeners my links and they can check it out, and maybe maybe it will be it will inspire them. Let's say that.
Yes, it definitely will. All right, now Arthur, say goodbye to our listeners.
Well, goodbye, everything. Thanks for having me, and it was fun to conversate with you, Susie. And let me say it in Russian. Спасибо всем большое и всем хорошего дня. Я надеюсь, что вы будете снимать и еще раз снимать. Maybe there is some Russian listeners too.
Yeah, that is the one word that I hear a lot when I hear Russian is spasibo.
Спасибо.
Right?
Yeah, it's thank you.
Spasibo. Ah, very good. Very good.